passionate about Cleveland sports.
He's going in! Touchdown!
Browns, Indians, Cavs, the Big Ten, and more.
Cleveland is a city of champions once again!
Andy and Jarid, Cleveland and beyond.
A swing and a drive! To deep right!
Here are your hosts, Andy Billman and Jarid Watson.
Hello and welcome. Andy and Jarid, Cleveland and beyond. He's Andy Billman. I'm Jarid Watson, and this podcast is a part of Waiting for Next Year. Check them out at waitingfornextyear.com. On this episode, our 50th episode, we're going to talk about Mike Silver. Oh yeah, Mike Silver. Yes, that Mike Silver. He's said that several Browns players voiced displeasure to Baker about the Duke comments from last week. Landry chimes in with his thoughts. Mike Silver not done yet, though. He also says the Browns are having issues in regard to Monken and Kitchens and that transition going smoothly, or according to him, not so smoothly. The Indians almost swept the Yanks, horseshoes and hand grenades, and split with Cincinnati. They're still 11 games behind the Twins. What are we going to do? Oh, goodness. We'll talk a lot about that. More chatter about Trevor Bauer and Brad Hand being possibly traded as Mike Clevenger returns this coming week. And the Cavs assistant coach have hired, rather. They add assistant coach Lindsay Gottlieb, no relation to Doug, thank God, to the Cavs staff. And let's start with the Browns.
Cleveland Browns.
So everybody, happy Father's Day. This is Friday before Father's Day weekend. Happy Father's Day to you, Jared. And
yeah, thank you.
To you too.
yes, and so it's a good way to kick off. Look, nothing, every time I put together a rundown, I said, well, really the Browns should be somewhere in the back pages. And with a week of Hard Knocks being announced with the Raiders and other teams having OTAs, Jared, I'm just being honest, it was a very quiet week in the NFL, but someone obviously said, no, we need some noise. And so Mike Silver whipped up some stories to get the Ferber. And boy, would he get Ferber pretty quickly. And, the big one is obviously about Duke. And there's actually more layers to this than just Mike Silver. But we should start off with Mike, because I think he got the pulse label pulsing. According to multiple sources, this is Mike Silver's tweet. According to multiple sources, several, boy, I can't talk today. I can tell it's Friday. Several veteran Brown players approached Baker Mayfield in the locker room after his comments about Duke Johnson, these critical comments, which we talked about on the last podcast.
Right.
And they talked about his displeasure. They'll give you a play-by-play. Landry today's June 14th on a Friday. Landry comes back and says it's a non-issue. Whole situation's blown out of proportion. And then you had Mike Irvin today on 92.3 The Fan come back and basically, I'm going to paraphrase, saying, look, if Duke Johnson had a problem, he shouldn't have come to camp. And you and I kind of talked about this the last time. No matter where you stand on the Duke Johnson trail, you have to understand Duke Johnson had a very odd press conference. And then you wrap it up all into, and by the way, it should be noted, and I know this, I know you know this, but people should remember, Irvin went to Miami. So this is another U alum talking to another U alum here. So there is a connection there. So for Michael to say that has some gravitas. It has a little. He would have reason to maybe be a little bit more softer landing because he's a Miami guy, but he did not. And then the last one's Luther Campbell, the rapper, and he definitely takes Duke Johnson's side, basically saying an explicitive, which I couldn't find the tweet, or I'd say the explicitive is where I'm podcasting, but I couldn't find it. Baker Mayfield for saying that dumb shit about Duke Johnson. I guarantee you will be the one to divide the locker room up. You are not in Texas at Cracker Barrel, end quote, from Campbell on Twitter.
Okay. I'm going to start.
Lots of stuff.
I'm going to start with this. Luther who?
Luther Campbell.
Luther who?
By the way, he's also very involved. A rapper, a longtime rapper. He's also very involved with Miami.
Sorry.
So a lot of Miami guys.
I have no use for Luther Campbell's comments. None.
He does not strike a chord in Jarid Watson.
I can also say you're not in Texas at a Cracker Barrel. You're treading the line there with that comment, and you know you are. You're treading the line with that comment, and you know you are, Luther. So that's Luther. That's me on Luther. Me on Mike Silver. Look, do we even need to know? Do we have to do the rundown of Mike Silver How many is anybody in Cleveland not blocked on Twitter by Mike Silver right now at this point?
I don't think I am.
I'm not somehow. I usually just look at his stuff and let it go. I don't do the social media back and forth bullshit. I just don't do it. I will do it here on this episode though. Mike Silver, what are these comments that were critical? Right? That's a very empty statement. I'm not saying that people weren't critical. I want to know what exactly was said because I want to know in regard to, I mean, because first of all, it's not like he's protecting anyone at that point because there probably were only a handful of people that sent anything to Baker. And Baker hearing this, everyone hearing this will know in that locker room will know who those people are. So that's one. So why are we not saying exactly the specifics of what exactly was so critical in the comments that were made? Because in my mind, that's clickbait. You're withholding a little bit of information. You've already given out that there's players that have done it. You don't even have to say who the players are. You can allow that to be their issue, but you definitely can give a statement that puts a little bit of backing to these words here of what exactly the criticism was. I want to know what those were, Mike. I want to know what the criticism was, Mike. Let me hear exactly what was said. Because in my opinion, of course, there's going to be players that are going to go up to Baker. There's how many guys in that locker room right now? A whole lot more than are going to be there at the end of the cuts, right? We don't know who it was that went up and talked to him and gave their displeasure. That's fine by me. There's going to be people that are going to go up to Baker and go, hey, maybe you shouldn't have done that. And they're going to do it for the reason of trying to keep the cohesiveness in the locker room and making sure that Baker in his second year, who is accelerated and launched himself into this leadership role because of who he is and how he handled last season and taking that team out of the dumpster and helping to build a culture, a winning culture in Cleveland. I guarantee the criticism is well, let me not guarantee it. I can almost bet that the criticism that was given was only to smooth things over to make sure that this train keeps rolling. You know, the one that everyone's supposed to be on except for Duke. Duke Johnson, if we want to talk about the business aspect of this one more time, if Duke Johnson gave a shit about the business aspect, he should have held out. Michael Irvin nailed all of this. Nailed it. You signed a contract. You came to camp. You were there. You better dedicate yourself to this team and to those teammates. Not to the front office, got nothing to do with the agents, got nothing to do with that. You're there. You're there with those teammates. And Andy, I said that weeks ago. I said it weeks ago when Duke was bitching and complaining about the loyalty. Look, brother, the loyalty is between you and that team. The loyalty's not got nothing to do with whether they brought Kareem Hunt in or not or any of that. That's not where the loyalty is. The loyalty is with your brothers on that field. So what are you talking about? And then if you want to argue about whether this is business and, oh, you don't want Baker because we've heard this as well. You're messing with his money and bullshit. Bullshit. If this is about business and Baker should back off because it's about business, this is the worst business move Duke Johnson could have ever made. You don't walk your ass out onto that field with that team and then hold some strange-ass press conference and not expect the guy who leads that team to not say, hey, we're here for each other. Get on board. This is self-inflicted. And I don't understand why there are people now, because Mike Silver came out and made these comments, why there are people now who are scared in Cleveland media, because that's what this comes off as to me. Cleveland media is getting a little scared right now. Oh, well, maybe Baker should back off. Maybe Baker shouldn't say anything. Baker didn't do anything wrong. This is all of Duke's doing. He was right. And you're afraid because you're not used to this in Cleveland. Get used to it, brother.
Well, it's been it hasn't been this way for the Browns. It's been this way in Cleveland with the Cavs. It's been this way for a little bit with the Indians too.
It's a different.
No.
There are
we
people
all agree.
that want to coddle this baby now. This baby that is the Browns at this moment. They want to coddle it, right?
All right. Here's okay. The big mistake again was how Duke delivered his message at that press conference. It was a weird press conference. It was delivered weird. Luther Campbell, that was strange. He's obviously defending Duke Johnson. There's a relationship there. Mike Irvin, I do agree with, but I would go with this again, back to Duke. You could have had a presser that was more messaging with this. I did not like the not yet comment from Dorsey, but I am a team guy, and I am here to perform, and I am here to win. Now, Duke did not come off that way at all, nor were his words like that at all. And by the way, it has been made clear by Duke Johnson that he does not want to be here. Now, that's the story I'm going to take up right now. Duke Johnson has fed this fire, and it started with Campbell, and it's made all its way up to Mike Silver, and he's spreading this gospel. The Duke Johnson story is getting flamed, and it's because of what you said and what I've been saying all along, too. The Browns have become the jewel of the offseason, and they're going to be talked about a lot. And by the way, they're going to be talked about during the regular season, too, especially if they keep winning. I do agree with how Baker handled it, and again, I'll repeat, because I don't think he had a choice for how that press conference came off. I thought he needed to say, you know what, you are either on the train or you're off. That's why he was at Harden. Why? He was trying to pivot off that situation of taking it off Duke and making it more about the team. I thought that was the right move. Am I surprised that maybe some team members came up to Baker? Of course, that's going to happen anywhere. To what Jared's alluding to, what Mike Silver did there, which was a very good, slick journalism move, he put in there some language in there that's very general that you could take any way you want, okay? So the whole thing, though, that I take out of this, the Duke Johnson story, which I thought might calm down, I actually am now going to this. I think this is going to be a story until preseason game number 1. And, Jared, I don't think it's going to go away. I think there's going to be more. In fact, when I saw Luther and I saw what he said, I knew right then and there when I read the comments, I'm like, here we go. Duke is not going to stand pat. The one thing I will give Duke, and this is it, this is the only one, and you and I alluded to it back in the winter. I don't know why Dorsey used those words, not yet, in saying those plans for Duke. And that definitely tweaked Duke. That would have tweaked me.
It did tweak us. It tweaked both of us. Neither of us liked that comment. That was the first thing that stood out to us, and I think I got angry at that.
And that is the one thing. And by the way, he's allowed. We're all allowed mulligans. That was a mulligan for Dorsey. That was not his best moment. And that language has tweaked Duke all the way to today. But Duke needs to let it go. And I can say that. And Duke, wherever to hear this, Duke, you need to let it go. Those words that happened one time, it's been expressed differently ever since. You need to let it go. We all make mistakes. Dorsey said that. I get the feeling Dorsey wished he had those words back. And by the way, the Browns are standing pat on this. Now, here's again where I'm going to bring it up. If I were the Browns, I would stand pat too. But boy, Jared, I think they got to be ready for this because I don't think this is going to go away because of how the Browns are positioned right now and how they're in the spotlight. I think if Duke wants to, he can get more messengers out there like Luther Campbell or whoever else he chooses to talk more about this topic. I don't think this is going away. And I was blown away, again, on a week where the Raiders were announced. The Raiders were announced to be on Hard Knocks. I mean, that came like a fart in the wind, like came and gone. It's amazing the powerhouse it is for the Browns.
Considering the drama level that is expected out of that Raiders team.
That's what I mean. Antonio Brown, Gruden, Mayock, that David Carr situation, the move to Vegas, the Raiders are filled with storylines. You didn't read anything about that. Here's where I'm going to leave Duke. If I were Duke Johnson, I would reach out to Baker Mayfield and settle this. Do I think Duke's going to do this? I doubt it. Do I think Duke's going to keep going on like this? I actually do now, yes.
I think Baker will reach out to Duke, though.
We'll see.
Told you there's something Kyrie Irving-ish about this situation.
I don't know about that, but I think Duke Johnson, though, I think Duke needs to understand something. He has to let this go. And he did not deliver a good press conference, period. I don't want to hear it. That's where I do agree with you. If people are saying, well, Baker's being too hard, the reason why Baker was hard because that press conference left such an odd tone to start OTAs. And it hasn't gone away. And I will say, I thought this story would disappear. I thought it would exit stage left. It hasn't. And, Mike Silver, he is a journalist and all that. He is clearly a Northern California guy. He does not hide that. He did not hide his displeasure with the Cavs during his tweets. He definitely has a lot of Cleveland fans, some I'm really close to, who do not like him. Never met Mike, so I'm indifferent. I don't really care either way. But what Mike has done by this comment has really engulfed to a situation where Jarvis Landry needs to come out today and say something. Jared, that stands out. This situation's not going away. It's going to keep playing out. I'm surprised. I thought this would. It hasn't. It just keeps going.
What does Duke think the Browns are going to be able to do in this situation too? Do you know what I mean? What does he think that the organization is going to go, yeah, you know what? That makes sense. Let's go ahead and find someone who will take them for a 6.
Well, that's my point. They're not going to roll over. No matter how the Browns really, I don't know. The Browns, Baker, whoever, Duke, they need to calm this situation down. Or if you're the Browns, you do what you just said, and maybe this is the right move. You buck up and say, hey, let Duke do what he's going to do, and we'll see. We'll see him in late July. He can say whatever he wants. We'll let it go. We won't let it bother us. The only thing I don't like about this, Jared, I don't want this to get into our first-year head coach who needs to be doing things to get prepared for training camp and for the season. I don't want this. I don't think it will with Freddie, but I don't want more of this where Freddie now has to come out and say something. I'm surprised Freddie hasn't really said much so far. He said a couple things earlier last week, but that's about it. That's the only thing here.
Yeah, because I think at this minute, this is just like when I was in just my time in the military. You handle it at the lowest level.
I will say
you handle it at the lowest level, and until it becomes something that you've got to grab. I don't think it's there yet.
It's
I don't think it's there
way.
yet because but it's kind of being. I mean, with these Mike Silver comments and throwing a little bit of fuel on what was a fire that looked to be dimming slightly. It's still fabricated from where we're at now because we haven't heard from Duke since that press conference.
No, Luther Campbell though. I thought Luther Campbell. When did he?
Yeah, but weren't those comments from back then too?
I thought.
Are these recent comments? I'm pretty sure Luther said this like right after Baker said what he said.
I think it was around June 7th, or I have to look at the timeline. June 7th. So that was Friday of last week.
Right. I mean, that's what I mean. This was this is a Mike Silver thing right now, and I don't think there's any reason to sweat this.
No, I don't think it is either. I don't think you have to sweat it. I just think, again, it comes back to what I was just mentioning. How are you going to prepare yourself? Because Duke has made it clear he's going to get his message out, and he's going to keep getting his story out there. Okay.
The only way we're going to know is when he steps on the field and when they're practicing. Like that's how we're going to see. I mean, we have to see how that goes. I don't think we're going to have any answers until that time comes.
I just think, again, the only thing that worries me is that this keeps going on and it distracts from a new coach who's never coached for the NFL. It takes time away from him preparing for the training camp and regular season. Because that goes to the Mike Silver story that did catch my eye.
Right.
And the story of being that, hey, Monken and him, they're still working through some kinks. Now, that does not surprise me in OTAs. This reminds me of Odell Beckham not training or not going into all these practices before OTAs starts. This kind of stuff with Monken and with Kitchens, I do think this is... I think Mike Silver's comments before were a little overblown. They're overblown for sure. This was way overblown. Of course they're still working through a process.
Right.
Like, I shrugged my shoulders. I'm like, did you think everything's going to be perfect? I mean, the way Freddie deals and the way Freddie goes, he absorbs information and then he spits out what he thinks is the best. So for him to say like, hey, I just know everything I come in, that's kind of not Freddie's way.
Well, Andy, just look at the wording again. Hasn't gone smoothly? Of course. Hasn't gone smoothly is not the same as gone terribly. Like those are not the same thing. It's not.
Right. Well, right. And again, I just, when I read that, I was like, well, smoothly. I'm like, smoothly can be taken so many different directions.
How could it go smoothly? You're talking about, these are brand new. All of this is new.
Yeah.
Norming, storming, forming, conforming. What's the damn thing about groups? How they come together? Storming, norming,
right?
Forming, norming, whatever.
So to be fair, the last time you and I did this podcast, Luther was tweeting this out just as we were doing the podcast. So it was the 5th of June on
That's
Wednesday.
what it was. Yes.
Okay, so there you go. But again,
that's what I mean. Like this is literally only coming back up because Mike Silver decided to go, yeah, you know what? I'm going to talk about this today.
By the way, I think you're partially right, and I will say this, as I felt it as soon as I read those comments, it has been a slow week in the NFL, and it really has been. I mean, I don't even know who did the OTAs. By the way, who cares? But, whoever did the OTAs this week, it kind of came and went, and again, for the Raiders, I thought that was kind of a bloof in the wind. Going back to Monken, though.
Yeah, for all that bitching about Odell needing to be there, we sure didn't get a lot out of.
Oh, that was so stupid.
Out of the actual practices.
That was so dumb.
Like, we didn't get anything. Again, this is what I mean. This is what I'm saying. This media, not in general, thrives on conflict. Like it thrives on conflict. That's where sales come from. I don't even
I mean, I you know what? I'm not gonna go down those roads. But here's what I will say: it was a slow week, and I think Mike Silver needed some energy. They got some from the Browns. I do think that's part of it. I'm not saying his reporting's inaccurate, because I mean, look, he's a reputable thing. Did he get these? I'm sure he did. Like, that's the thing too. Like, I'm sure some of this has some tentacles. I'm sure they're just not a thin air. The only thing that, again, you kind of hinted to that I'll hammer it. This is more to come. And I will say, I don't think the Duke Johnson story now is going away.
No.
I think it's going to continue, and I think it's going to get even more, I wouldn't say tension-filled, but I think it's going to get more press and more eyeballs. Because if it got this much talk and this much scuttlebutt within 24, 48 hours, you are going to continue that. Yes. And that is part of the business of clicks, which is what we're in.
They want a showdown, Andy.
Yes.
They want a showdown. I don't know that there's going to be a showdown.
Duke Johnson, again, but Duke also wants a showdown, and he made that clear through his press conference.
Yeah.
He wants to be traded. Duke did this to himself. And by the way, he wants to. That is something...
We're going to have to see whether he's going to remain this prideful or whether this is a temper tantrum that we can fix.
So far, it is full gas. I am not seeing anything.
Andy, I mean, besides Mike Silver, it's been quiet. Again, the only reason this was brought up today was because of these comments.
But this got a lot of noise, Jared.
It did when it happened, but it was tampered pretty quickly.
No, I don't agree.
We're
talking about it now? Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, but
Jared,
we're talking about it now, but that's
today.
only because Mike Silver decided to pop up here with a controversial comment about players in the locker room that we don't even have the quotes. We don't even know.
It wasn't controversial. He just said, look, there's some comments he heard. Well, the news report.
Yeah, but come on now. Come on. It was all week we didn't hear any of this.
He didn't say X, Y, and Z. Look, let me just state this to make you feel better. Mike drives me crazy because I don't like things that have a twist to it, and this feels twisted. But I told Mike,
he's
Mike,
not M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, Mike. If I were to talk to Mike and if we had a glass of Merlot, I'd be like, hey, let's be honest. This had a little bit of dig in Cleveland, right? It certainly felt that way. Okay? And by the way, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying it has that feel to it. Am I going to dig into Pittsburgh during the year? Fuck yeah, I am.
At least go all the way in, like Colin Cowherd.
That's my point. But look, it did. I don't agree though. I think this did create buzz and storylines. It created conversations with Mike Irvin today. And Mike Irvin's not just a random analyst. No, he went to the University of Miami. He has connections to Duke Johnson. He has no reason to stand against Duke unless he feels that way. He felt that way. Jared, this story has a lot of legs. It's not going anywhere. Well, and again, it started from one press conference. And that press conference is set to here. Here's where you and I are directly paralleled. That is why Baker did what he did. And that's why it was the correct move. He was trying to put out what he could. He foresaw before any of us. And he's right. Cut it off. He couldn't do it, though, because Duke is really getting this message out there, whatever means he can. Now, real quickly back to Monken, then I'm pretty much done with Duke.
Yep.
Monken and Freddie, let's see how this works through. I am not surprised that they've had some hey, give and take back and forth about that. The word smoothly, it's OTAs. I don't know. I think that's one period of time where I'm okay with this. I don't want to hear not running smoothly during training camp. That's my one bravado here. I don't want to hear about that in training camp. Right now, fine. I get it. I totally get it. In fact, I would want that. So you guys got to try to figure out your groove.
Yeah, again, though, Andy, what we're vague here. What exactly isn't going smoothly?
Well, that's my point. Right now, it's fine.
I mean, that's what I mean.
That's what I mean. It's fine right now. It's fine. I get it. So, I don't want to hear it during training camp. They got to get ready for the season. I don't want to hear no smooths. I don't. Because that's when it becomes a news story. But this is June, not July, so we're good. I want this because you need to work these kinks out. It's all good. And look, I do think, I'll repeat it, I just think this Duke Johnson thing, I'm surprised how much momentum it has. But boy, does it have momentum. By the way, for a third string running back in late October.
I'm not. This is what I'm, again, there's another reason why I'm just not. I'm not on board with it, though. Maybe what I'm projecting is my own internal feelings here on this whole thing. And my feelings, the way that I'm looking at this is I don't care. I don't care. What I still need to wait this out and see. Because I'm not there. I don't know legitimately where Duke is right now at this very moment in his head in regard to the Browns. I know where he was.
I think he made that pretty clear in that press conference.
Yeah, but Andy, that's where he was. We don't know that he's still there. And the only reason I say that is because he was coming from a very prideful place when he made those comments.
Yes.
And when you have time to reflect on this a little bit, is he going to hold on to that, what was keeping him angry, or is he going to let it go?
Well,
because this all boils down to him being pissed off and feeling like again, those comments that were made, the comments that were made previously by Dorsey, and to this point, you never know when somebody's going to let something go. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I'll end it with this. Duke has made no reaches. What's the proper term? He's made no reach outs.
Yeah, you're right.
To put out this fire. And I'm telling you, I think this is who Duke is feeling.
You know what? Maybe it is going to completely be a shitstorm. Maybe.
Oh, I think it is. I think maybe it is. I think we're there.
I don't know. I know that the comments around it all aren't helping, but
if you would have asked me when we did our last podcast on Wednesday, when June 5th, I'd have been like, I think this Duke thing will calm down. It's going to be brought up again, but it'll be okay. 9 days later on this Friday, the 14th, I think this is stoked, and I think we got a ways to go.
Yeah, and just to clarify, my comments in regard to this reminding me of Kyrie Irving just has to do with the fact that it doesn't completely make sense.
Now there you go.
That's my loose tie to Kyrie. Is that what? Huh? What?
Here's the one thing.
That's where that's coming from.
Again, here's the one thing you and I both agree. Duke, your words were heard. And this is something that you and I both really know. And that we haven't touched upon this, but maybe we should. Duke, if this continues on and you put on the brown jersey on week 1, it's going to be an interesting reception from Browns fans to see how they take to you.
I don't know. I think it's split right now.
I'll see.
At least from social media, I've seen a lot of hate go Baker's way.
Ready for this? Duke Johnson drops a pass.
Oh, you better believe that's going to... Yeah, no, that will add up fast. That will happen quickly.
If I were Duke Johnson, I'd be very careful.
Well, I've had thoughts in the back of my mind of him, mishandling a handoff.
Just saying.
On purpose. That's been a fear of mine.
Duke, be careful. Be careful.
And again, here we go. This is the NFL. This isn't the NBA. How many teams are going to want him? How many teams are going to want him if he continues to act this way? The Raiders? Like, what are we talking about here?
I'll say this. Duke has value. Duke does not have as much value as Duke thinks that he does. And that's been the biggest point of this whole conversation. And that's been the biggest thing. And again, we're rehashing old things. Duke has to realize because of the position you're playing in Duke, and because Nick Chubb's had history with injuries,
So
as he did with
Friday.
Georgia, it is so fucking Friday. And then you go to Kareem, who is dealing with off the field stuff. He's doing good so far, but you never know. And by the way, he might get hurt too.
Yeah.
You have a chance to play in these spots and make a big
That's
impact.
all right.
So
It's an air raid offense anyways, remember, Andy? We're good.
well, Monken and Freddie are figuring that out. And that's my okay, I'm done with Duke. Those two, by the way, I think that's very smoothly, whatever the term is, work all of it out in June. I'm fine. I don't want that kind of stuff in August, though. Time to get the reels going. I don't want no more, work out the kinks. I totally think it's normal right now. I think that's very normal. There you go. Normal. If they were like, I would actually be, I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's true. If they would have come and comment, man, this thing is a flying ship. It's ready to sail. It's like, really? Man, for new head coach? That seems like a pretty strong statement. So I think that's how I play on another one. And, Mike Silver is always welcome to come on here. And I'm sure Jared and Mike would have a lot to talk about and go through the ways of, favorite Cal Berkeley moments, the kick against Stanford in '82 and the kick. No, it wasn't a kick. It was a kickoff return against John Elway, by the way.
I'm still sitting here and questioning this whole what could possibly be, like, it's really running through my head. I'm wondering what could possibly be the issue between Monken and Kitchens when Monken knew full well when he was coming here.
But that's normal stuff.
And
like
the way, like I said, the way that Freddie, as much as he's going to run certain things, he doesn't.
But I think Freddie's taking in information. That's why I think the word smoothly is, I get it in a way, because I'm sure Freddie at times like, okay, let me take in all this stuff. I'm learning the air raid. Here's the things I like. Here's some things I do want to change. I think that's it. I don't mind this stuff when it comes to things right now of, hey, we're trying to figure out, we're not quite all the way there. That's normal in June. Again, late July, August should be hashed out by then.
Well,
because then that's going to, yeah, exactly. So, okay. So I will say that my famous line that Jared loves to hear, hopefully the Browns can exit stage left and get out of the way. Maybe it will help that the Warriors are out and Mike Silver's team's gone, that we can, by the way, we took their head coach. We got their women's head coach. He's going to be torn. What's he going to do? She's coaching the assistant coach of the Cavs. I
love that too.
I do too. I think it's such a great move.
Yes, we'll talk about that in a little bit.
So that's the Browns. By the way, I do think I'll hammer and guess again. Time will tell. Maybe this comes in. Who knows? But when it's a slow week, I'm telling you, the Browns are going to be that bell this year. I notice in some years it's the Cowboys, some years it's the Giants, the Eagles, fill in blank team. This offseason, it is the Browns. When the times are slow, let's go to Cleveland and dig the old well. So that, and why I preface it this way, and Jared alluded to it, and I agree with Jared. More to come. Just remember that. More to come. Speaking of more to come, let's talk to our tribe.
Cleveland, Indiana.
That was people can't see. Jared just took the deepest sigh.
Because I was because I knew what we were transitioning out of. And I knew what we were transitioning into.
So this is a
I've got a few.
There are times in life where you have something, you go, hey, everything's going great. And everything's working out great. And then you have weeks like this where you go, hey, you almost swept the Yanks. You split against the Reds. Pretty good, right? And you're 11 games behind the Twins.
Yeah. I don't know what to even... And you're a game and a half behind out of nowhere the Texas Rangers, who are not expected to hold on to where they're at, have the second wild card slot right now.
Well, the second one, okay, you know, that's a good place to allude to. The second wild card is by far up for grabs because the Red Sox have shown no sign of getting stable.
There are people that really think the Red Sox are going to come around. I got to tell you, they are who they are.
So.
Believe them when they show you.
And by the way, this is a thankfulness of the Indians and a curse right out of the Red Sox. They have to keep playing the Rays and Yankees. The Indians don't.
Yeah, no, and the Indians, if we're real about this, Andy, the Indians, although we have seen no consistency from them throughout the season, none. They technically, looking at the schedule, have got a cakewalk to the wild.
I'm glad you brought this up. Okay, now I'm going to get fired up. I don't want to hear about cakewalk. You need to win these fucking games.
Well, that's why I said we have not seen any consistency from them, so I know we can't count on it.
No. You didn't say this. I've been hearing this from other people. Look at these easy games we got. We got Detroit. We got to play Baltimore in a few weeks. We got at Texas. And by the way, Texas,
I'll be at Baltimore. And I've seen Baltimore surprise the shit out of some people on a few games this season.
I took them in the under. They're going to lose games. Don't you worry. We'll get to those next week.
I'll be at Camden for those games.
Yes, sweating it out. But let me just
it's going to be so damn hot. I know it. Thanks. You're a jerk for even reminding me. Oh, I swear to God, Andy, we were there last season. And
maybe I'll sit with you in those games.
Get out of the sun. It was so hot.
I heard that.
It was disgusting.
I heard Camden Yards is a sweatbox.
The sun will break you in half.
I've heard.
You have to sit on the third base side and just hope that you're in the shade.
I've heard it's as bad as the old Riverfront for the Reds. And if people who've not gone,
Three Rivers.
But
the only time I was at Three Rivers, I was in a booth, so I was good.
Right. Well, where the Reds used to play was Riverfront Stadium.
Oh, I'm sorry, Riverfront. Yes,
no, it's all good. I knew what you meant. And for people who forget, I have not been to the Reds' new park, but I've been to the old park plenty of times. Their stadium was actually below sea level. So when the summertime, not only would it be hot because it's AstroTurf, not only would it be hot because it's Cincinnati, Ohio in the summer, you are below sea level. So you're getting no relief from any kind of air. Oh, it was, I can tell stories about my friends doing inappropriate things and then vomiting on themselves on the way out of the ballpark. Look, that's so anyways, now that we got our weather.
Oh, the good old days.
You know what? You ever want a good science experiment? A lot of high schoolers who play baseball, you know what we're going to do? I'm going to go Red Man and do a whole big thing. I never liked chewing tobacco, so I never did it. But my friends did.
I did. Levi Garrett. Plug.
There's one friend in particular who did that. Thought he was tough shit, and he got so sick, like Sandlot sick from the ride. And it was, oh my God!
That's exactly what that is, right out of the Sandlot.
Oh, it was a sight to see. 16-year-olds learning how to dip on a hot summer day in Riverfront. Oof. But anyways, so that aside, let's go back to the Indians. They did have a good week on the field. They almost won. Didi Gregorius really booted the ball away in the ninth, and the Indians had a chance. Yeah. But, of course, the Indians couldn't put that final run in. They split. Plesac finally had one of those starts. I want to go through some storylines, and then we'll get to the main narrative, which is the narrative that's been carrying for the last 2 or 3 weeks. You know, the bats of division, and why I put this in here is this. You are now seeing a striking difference between players that are hitting and players who are not. And we've kind of been alluding to it all year, but I'm ready to now say it is clear. Lindor, Mercado, Santana, Naquin, and to be fair, you pointed out to me via text, and I picked up on it. Perez's average it's okay. It's 233, which is not okay, but whatever. His power, though, has been there. Those guys are hitting, and by the way, it's been consistent.
Yeah, and Perez, we have to say this real quick, Andy. We were really tough on the Indians in regard to getting rid of Yan Gomes in the move, but I'm telling you what, here down, I mean, you know, just south of me, over with the Nationals, Yan Gomes, not even Perez is having a better year.
He's doing fine, and Jeffrey Rodriguez can play, and we've heard great things about Daniel Johnson. So those are the positives, and those guys are. I'm not worried about those names. They've been consistent. They hit everything else, and then there's the other half of this, the negatives: Jose Ramirez, Leonis Martin, Bowers, Kipnis. all these guys, they have streaks. They maybe get a hit here and there. All the four, I have not seen anything yet, Jared, where I'm saying, oh, I see them breaking through. Oh, here we go. I think those four, it is just saturated with averages.
Yeah,
right around
this is
200.
where losing Brantley and losing Yandy Diaz is really hurting this team offensively.
Yes,
because you lost. I mean, those two guys right there. I would take those two guys, get rid of these four, and find two others to fill in. Like, I don't even care.
No, I'm with you. And here's the stat that I wanted to bring up, and I think this needs to be brought up because I think it's okay to have this stat, and I do. But it should not. I would think as the season goes on, this stat would change. Jose has the most at-bats on the team. Third is Martin. Fourth is Jake Bauers. I know there's been injuries, but those are startling at-bat stats. I can't see that continuing.
No.
I will say.
And this is why I've said, do we need to bring in the youth and move some things around here?
Well, to your point, I want to allude to where you're going. This needs to change. I get it right now. I get it. But I'm telling you, I mean, you tell me, am I being harsh? I think all those guys are cooked. I don't see it.
We've learned. I mean, here's the thing. This is the bummer of it is, do you wait out Jose? Because Jose's had this problem since last year, right? Since August of last year, something like that.
Jose, you can debate. Jake Bauers needs to be sent down AAA. I think
Bauers, Martin is not working out, and Kipnis. I'm sorry, but Kipnis, this has been enough. This hasn't been a rough season. This has been a rough couple of seasons.
And I love Kipnis. And here's a Kipnis example of where I felt for him. He did start hitting in the Yankee series, and what happened? He had to come out because of a hip injury. I think it's either a hip or a leg injury, and that's been kind of how it's gone for Kipnis. When he does start to hit, some injury flares up, and I just hate saying that kind of stuff as it hurts because I root for Kip. I root for all these guys, but I really root for Kipnis and the Jose's especially. Jake Bauers, I'm going to pound this until it happens. I guess they're waiting for Zimmer. I do think Bauers needs to be sent down. I would send him down now. I think.
Why not?
Think sending
That's
him down,
my point.
Yeah.
Why not? Are you telling me we can't play 500 baseball, sending him down and bringing up some youth?
Jake Bauers,
you got the pitching to stay at 500. I mean, if we're just worried about staying at 500, then why the hell not?
And I'll tell you,
what's it matter?
You talk about baseball, the ball finding people. How many times this year, Jared, has it been a big spot, and who walks up? Jake Bauers.
Yeah.
Boy, I mean, it happens a lot in these games.
Did he have one walk off? He had one moment, right? One moment.
He had an early double in April. He's had a couple moments. He had a great bunt.
Yeah, and I've made this comparison before too. When you're in like an abusive relationship, you live one good moment to the next. Yeah, and that's what it's like dealing with some of these guys when they come to the plate.
Well, I guess the reason why I'm more firm on that because we've experienced it, and I'm ready to compare these two. It does remind me of Josh Barfield. It really is eerily similar. Where. Boy, they kept pressing the button and pressing the button and pressing the button and pressing the button. And it's like, at some point you got to realize it's just not gonna go off. Yeah. And I feel like, and by the way, Bauers is in the lineup tonight again. This is Friday the 14th. He's in the lineup tonight, so they are gonna keep continuing that button. I want to see the changes when Zimmer comes up. And as for Jose, I don't know. I have nothing to add. I just don't think it's going to happen.
No, we had more setbacks. He had more setbacks, didn't he?
He's batting under 200 again. I want him to show us wrong. I have no idea what to tell him. He's batting worse from the left, as you point out, stronger from the right. Oh. He has good at bats, but they don't. Here's the weird thing: he had a good at bat. I want to say it was a Tuesday night against the Reds. I think it was Tuesday night.
I misheard you, by the way, too. I thought you had said something about Zimmer. I was just mentioning that about making it because he's having issues. But go ahead.
Oh wow. Going back to Jose though, he had a good at bat against the Reds. I think it was Tuesday night. Foul. What ended up strikeout.
Yeah.
And that's just where it's going. So I do think now it's very definitive. Not that it hasn't been, but I think now it's definitive.
Well, we've waited. We've waited.
It's definitive now. The bullpen's been the other story I've seen come up lately, and I do think it is really hyped up by Hammy and those guys on the radio, and for good reason. The Indians' bullpen is there. And that where it alludes to what you mentioned. That second wild card seat, that's where the Indians do have a shot in this, along with some other things. But boy, is their bullpen there. I mean, if we're all being fair in love and war, nothing gets traded. Boy, Hand, Whitgren, Simber, Cole, even Cole's shown some signs. Olsen's looked better. Those are good pitchers in big spots. Heffrey Rodriguez maybe coming out of the bullpen if all stays well. This bullpen's ready to rock and roll. If they really want to go for it, their bullpen's there. It is there. Jared's there. It's not going. My opinion won't change on this. They're ready to go, and the numbers are there. I don't know where they ranked today, but over the weekend they were number 1 in baseball for bullpen.
We know that we're not going to have the full starting rotation, right? We know we're not going to have that, and that's okay. If we can keep Clevenger healthy the rest of the season, I'm worried because of his injury could come back as a problem.
Of course,
this season,
of course,
right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But with this rotation, let's ask this: with this rotation, with our bullpen minus Hand possibly, and our rotation minus Bauer possibly, moving some of those guys that we're talking about, Jose, Martin, Bowers, Kipnis, getting some of that stuff out of the way, plugging in some young guys and seeing what you can get before the break for either Hand or for Bauer or for Trevor Bauer. Do you do that? Do you try to scrape to get a wild card seed? Like, what are we like? Why are we fighting for the wild card? I think if we do that, we have to do it with the thought of next year trying to take the Central again. Here's
where I'm at with this. I want to see more. I have not made a decision yet. Because I am ready to say this. If you go full out, Bauer, Hand, gone. Look for suitors for Lindor. If you get a proper trade during the season, great.
Oh goodness, I don't think you move Lindor. I don't think we have to move Lindor until after next season. I think if we make these moves now, that what we're doing is we're trying to do something and scrape by this season, but more than likely setting up for next season. And then I'll say after next season, then we can make those moves.
Here's on Lindor where I'm starting to turn the other direction. I agree with you. Wait till the offseason, but it's been made clear through those comments through Dolan in the offseason that he does not think Lindor's coming back. He told us to enjoy him. If that is the case, Jared, if you get a good sale tag, you should do it. If you're going to do this, but you probably should wait until winter and make a great trade then. That's usually for position players, you get your most bang for your buck. But if the Indians are going to do this, I am now on this side. You got to move them. Bauer, Hand, go. You can get so much for both.
Do you trust that front office enough to be okay? Same here.
Yes. Yep.
Same here. I guess I would. I won't get up in arms. I know they're handcuffed, and I will trust those moves. I'm going to remind the casual fan not to throw a fit if some of these moves happen.
Yes.
Because you really have to realize that front office really is they're handcuffed in regard to the money and their abilities. And when they make these moves, it might not look that great right now, but what are your real expectations for this season? What are your possible expectations for next season? The only reason that I say be careful about getting rid of Lindor now is because I think next season, with that rotation, with maybe one last solid season with Kluber,
sure,
that you can go after that Central again next year.
No.
If you think that, but that's the thing. If there's better offers out there, then go ahead. I'll be okay with it.
I don't think it's time to decide that, though, is my point. I think you need to let these games continue to play out.
Okay.
I don't think we're there yet, but I am ready to say you gotta do the haul.
If they get 5 above 500, 6 above 500 before they all start.
Boy, tough decision.
Right.
Tough decision, but it just depends.
Right.
You have to ask me at that point. I think it'll feel differently no matter how the season's going. Bauer finally had a good start against Cincy. He didn't get the win. Plesac got his first career win. Lost against Cincy. He had his first rough outing. You mentioned Clevenger. He comes back Monday against Texas. We kind of went through the big trades there. They're in Detroit. They're in Texas, and they come home for some home games after that. So in Detroit for 3 starting tonight on Friday the 14th, and 3 in Texas. They don't have a day off for a while, so a lot of Indians games here to come. They had a weird week. They had one of those weeks where they only played 5 times. So, here's where I come out and everything, though, with the Indians. And I am still there. And it's my theme from last week. I'm going to continue it. I still don't have hope hope is not lost, meaning I do think you might be able to find it this year. I was surprised I'm saying that. I think it still lingers, but I will say I still don't see hope right now. I don't have it yet.
No, neither do I.
I was gonna say I don't feel it yet. I don't really feel great about anything.
It's been a lot more. It's been. I say a lot more. It's been a lot more fun for me to watch some of these games though lately. And then
the Yanks were wonderful.
At least, yeah, it was.
The Yankee series. The Yankee series was wonderful. We didn't pick up the Twins. They ended up winning that game that night. You guys and I did the podcast.
Right.
They had a great series against the Twins. They lost that last game, but you can do that stuff. But that kind of plays into the initial statement. They had a good week and they're 11 games back.
Right,
That's
which is why I said if they lose one to the Twins, it doesn't even matter. I mean, like, right. And I said that.
Yes.
If they can't sweep the Twins, then what do I?
You're gonna laugh at this comment. I'm now 4% chance for the Indians winning the Central. 4. I was at 5. I'm now at 4. It is waning down quickly.
Hey, I didn't give Toronto a chance to win the final, so
we'll get there.
There's some hope.
We will get there. I guess here's my overall thing too that I'm noticing, and I think this is where again it needs to be reminded when it comes, especially for someone like Brad Hand. Brad Hand's going to command a big trade. The Dodgers are going for it this year, as they've been going for the last few years. They need another reliever. There is nothing more, as we have learned through trading for than getting a strong lefty reliever out of your bullpen. The Dodgers will overpay to get him. That is why Brad Hand keeps being brought up. And we all know reasons for Trevor Bauer, because I think it's going to be hard for the Indians to keep him. But I know there's been a lot of discussion about why.
Yeah, he's only got a year left. It always gets brought up about
Brad Hand. People need to remember it's a reliever. Relievers can sometimes be fickle, and you can get such a haul for Brad Hand. You can get such great things for this.
I've come around on this, Andy. I did not want to do it. I thought maybe they can slide by, but I genuinely trust this rotation and this bullpen to say, go ahead and move Bauer, go ahead and move Hand, because your net gain offensively might end up being what you were looking for. I think
Zimmer's going to play a part in this. And that's my final thing on this. I think Zimmer coming up and see what he could do is going to play a little bit of part of this. Bobby Brandt.
Well, like I said, I believe that the last I heard he had a little bit of a setback.
I hope he does okay. I'd like to see him back sooner rather than later. And then I think the other thing here, too, with the Indians that I do think is a good thing. It was good to see the crowds. It was good to see the energy in the ballpark. And that's why I'm saying I'm not there yet to say trade Bauer in Hand. I do want to see how these next few weeks play out. I've been hearing the same things Jared have been hearing. Tigers, the Texas series is huge. That's who you're competing with. So I think we'll get a little bit better clarity after that. And with that, I mean, you tell me, I'm good with the Indians. I don't have much more other than that. But
No. Let's just, again, we're still, I feel I'm in baseball purgatory. That's where I am.
And with that, let's move to the Cavs.
Cleveland Cavaliers.
The Cavs did a big move this week. They added head coach from Cal, Lindsay Gottlieb. And I think this is a great move. I think this is where NBA and other leagues need to start going. I think a female opinion is a great thing. I think it's great for the Cavs. I am not surprised. I'm telling you, Beeline is, even if it never works out, it is such a good hire for the Cavs. And it's another good sign for this. I like this move. I think it's great.
I completely agree. I love the move. I heard rumor that this was completely a Kobe Altman move.
Cool. Kudos to him.
And then another great mention, and I don't remember who said this, but it was a great. It really made sense. Again, and as soon as I heard it, I thought, the young kids. That's why. Perfect time, because they're gonna have a lot of young kids. Somebody had said there's no more, and some people kind of turn their noses up to this comment. There's no better X's and O's basketball than women's basketball is one of the comments that I had heard. And you can take that how you want, but I really liked that comment in relation to the fact that the group of guys that they're going to try to bring in here and build a culture around young talent, willing to listen, willing to grow, willing to play team basketball. It made sense. It just made sense. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what she brings to the table alongside Beeline. I really am. I think this, at the very least, Andy, it's going to be fun to watch.
I have nothing to add. I think
it's going to be fun
great
to watch.
hire, great move. I'll give a couple quotes from her. I'm very thankful, proud, and excited to be joining the Cavaliers as an assistant coach, Gottlieb said. After meeting with Kobe Altman, Coach Beeline, and Coach Bickerstaff, I knew this is an organization I wanted to be a part of and a team I wanted to dedicate myself to. I just think it's everything that Jared said and more. I think it's great. I think it's the proper decision. The Cavs are really heading in the right direction. I found an update on Dan Gilbert via Athletic. Joe Varden gave this little tidbit on Gilbert. So this is from Joe Varden, the Athletic. For people who don't, I would subscribe to the Athletic. I think it's worth your dollars. This is the first you've read on the Athletic about Gilbert, blah, blah, blah. He suffered a significant stroke early that morning, the morning we went back to. He was awake the next day. His recovery is going to take a while, which you and I kind of felt after reading the last statements, is what we can gather from the statements released by Jay Farner. So he and I have so we're all in the same opinion here. It is business as usual.
Yeah.
I think the big thing here with Gilbert is I don't think you're going to hear much about this until he's really ready to come and be, being fully working back and feeling like himself. And by the way, as we all know, we don't know when that is. That could be at any time. So we'll have to wait and see. No. But that's the latest on Dan Gilbert. The next podcast I'm going to devote, because the Browns should exit stage left, I will devote time. I will find articles. We'll talk about the Cavs' 2 first-round draft picks.
Do you never learn?
I thought I was going to do it this one, but I got distracted by some Mike Silver stuff. All right, so now wrapping it up, you and I, kudos to the Raptors. I know people are going to point to the injuries, and I do want to get to that. So
no asterisk.
By the way, there's no
I don't
asterisk
want to
in
hear
stuff. And look,
I didn't
we
get
all
one in
know.
2015.
Let's just say we're all Cleveland fans.
Thanks, Kelly Olynyk.
All you have to point to is what Jared just said is 15.
Kyrie's
knee. 15. Just point. You just point. You just point to 15. I don't fucking know why the Warriors are getting this kind of treatment. Maybe fucking Mike Silver knows. I don't know. But I'll tell you, as a Cavs fan, it's fucking annoying. And it's bullshit. Because we put up with the same goddamn crap that they did. We lost Kyrie Irving in the finals. We saw what Kelly Olynyk did. That was a bullshit Bush League move. It was Bush League. It was bullshit. It was bullshit.
I still want to punch him in his face.
He's the worst. That was such a bullshit.
I want to pull it. I want to pull his long hair.
That's why beating the Celtics felt so fucking good every time we fucking beat them. It was great. It's fucking great. All right. So I don't want to hear that bullshit. And by the way, the Raptors outplayed and outdid and did what they had to do in big spots. And I'll say this too. The Bulls went through these runs. They didn't have these kind of injuries. And I will say, I hate this. I fucking hate the Bulls, but I can say this now. The Bulls in the 90s were better than this run than the Warriors. And it proved to me in this series.
Oh, yeah.
I don't, because I fucking hate Jordan. But I'll say this. Those teams were better than the Warriors.
I only love saying it because I'm so used to hearing it turned on Jordan's better than LeBron and the evidence. I like using it now for other
look, everybody can sit there. I'll debate to the death now because I was always on the fence about this. I'm not anymore. That proves that argument. The Bulls are in their unique class. And by the way, fuck them too. But okay, back to the Warriors. The injuries piled up now. This is where it twists into Cavalier land. The Cavs are building towards a team. They're building towards all this stuff. And it's awful. Poor KD and Thompson. ACLs.
They're not going to play all next year.
For all these teams that have built assets to bring in players like this, you want to...
Oh, the moves that were made to clear the books.
So now you want to talk about the sky, the sky's the limit? Kawhi Leonard is going to be so... I mean, not that he wasn't anyways, but he's going to be so sought after.
Yeah. Is there any chance that he stays in Toronto?
Jared?
His latest comment, I believe, on Twitter or somewhere that I had seen popped up and said, this is great for the city. Hopefully it's something they can build on. And now that isn't a direct quote, but the word "they" was used in that way. And and it further illustrates the question marks on whether he's going to stay there. Andy, watching last night, even before this, I just wanted to bring this up. Watching last night, I didn't watch the whole game. I had to go to sleep. I wake up at 6 a.m. There's no way in hell I'm screwing my sleep over to sit up and watch this game. But Lowry started out really hot. And I went to bed feeling confident. And the very first thing I did when I woke up and rolled over this morning at 6 a.m. was grab my phone and look at that score, and the rest of the tone for the day was set.
Well, I'll say
the tone for the day was set. Thank you very much. Congratulations,
good
Toronto.
videos. Cool.
You are. We have some sort of weird Cleveland-Toronto connection, whether it be with the Blue Jays and the Indians or with the Raptors. And
very
with the
similar
Cavs.
Passion. Very similar passion.
Almost very similar to there's like a Lake Erie triangle of Toronto, Buffalo.
I'll say this too about Toronto. You know, they are very close to the Maple Leafs as the Browns are close to Cleveland. Very similar in those aspects too. You know, the thing is that about that game is I watched it all. You know, the thing about that game that the Raptors, I will say this, they should be thankful. You know, 9 seconds ago, throwing the ball fucking out of bounds and giving the Warriors a chance to win the game. Curry had a shot. It just didn't go in.
Weird how that works out.
Yeah, boy.
I wonder where are all the Curry memes about him missing the big shot.
About Curry. He should no longer be compared to LeBron at any level. On any level.
No. The whole time it was a joke. The fact that he was the first unanimous MVP voted, it blows my mind.
It's not comparable.
Andy.
Again, this series took the tarnish off the Warriors. It really did. Draymond Green, look, did he kill the Cavs in certain series? Absolutely. Boy, it did not happen in 2019 finals against the Raptors. He looked shitty. There were some bad he did not play well.
Yes, I know. Early on in that game, he threw one out of bounds.
He got lucky that there wasn't some other moments in that game. Yeah, I mean,
which makes, and I think that's what I can't stand is when he's loud because of that. Like, dude, who are you? I just don't. I never.
No, I just think that whole series, that's where it really proved. But going back to what I was getting to with Thompson and the KD injuries.
I so rudely distracted.
Fine. By the way, I will say this again. From everything I've been told, KD will be a Knick. So we'll see how that plays out. But I don't think it's going to change. So going back though, what this proves though, because of the commodities of free agents now that have been shrunken. So I think Thompson going back to Golden State makes way too much sense. KD, even if he goes to the Knicks aren't going to be improving next year because he won't be playing, right? So, you know, the Cavs are doing the right thing here. And it proves in sports that, you know, you can have a plan, you can lay things out, but, you know, the Brooklyn Nets took a huge risk by trading away their assets to the Hawks. They better get Kyrie Irving. Think about that, by the way. The Nets really need to get Kyrie Irving. The Lakers better get Kawhi. That's how big these things are now.
Now at the end of this season, looking back on everything, are Kyrie's best days?
Kyrie Irving, to me, needs to really go to a place where he is the second fiddle and he will excel.
Yes.
No.
He is not a leader, point blank.
By the way, wasn't
period.
it Duke?
That offense should never
Wasn't
run
it
around
Duke either?
Kyrie Irving. Never.
So this is carried over into the pros. I just don't see it. I'm sorry. Don't see it. He is a great Scottie Pippen. He is not Jordan.
Yes.
So that's where I kind of come off on that. But these teams, the Lakers, Clippers, Knicks, Nets, they are fighting over one or two players now. KD, that stock. The Pelicans, with these trades, you hate to say this, you never want to see players get hurt like that. That's so sad what happened to KD. That is so sad what happened to Thompson. You hate to see that. It sucks,
It really is.
The Pelicans now, though, with those injuries, can say, hey, we do have KD, but with all these other assets now going the way they are, you're going to give us the farm and then some. because you're getting a commodity that can play in 1920. That's how heated up this offseason will be. And the good news, which you alluded to a couple weeks ago, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, now it's coming to fruition. The Warriors are transitioning. No matter if they
you think
Jared,
so?
If
You
they
don't
keep
think
KD and Thompson, they're not playing next year.
But that's what I'm saying. You don't feel like the following
These are major
season
injuries.
could be the big season?
These are major injuries. These are major injuries. I mean, these are not
right.
hey, he broke a leg, he'll heal, and he'll be the same. These are ACLs. And we all saw it. The KD one was awful. That poor guy, his muscle was hemorrhaging.
If I watch that
awful.
slow motion on loop anymore,
it was really, I felt so bad for him. I felt bad for Thompson, too. I'll say this. I can't stand the Warriors, as we all can't. I'll say this, though. God, Thompson's a fucking gamer. That guy, shooting free throws and trying to get warmed up. Yeah, I can't stand it. I don't like the Warriors, but God, is he a fuck. He can play on my team anytime. That kid is a gamer.
He looks like an 80s R&B guy.
Gamer. I loved Thompson's
That don't change.
attitude. I love him coming out and shooting free throws. I love it all.
Well, and you got to recognize too, he
really
can
can't.
shoot
But
the hell out of the ball,
Jared, to see someone like that think that he could play through a torn ACL, he didn't know. That just says a lot about Thompson as a player. But
it does.
But getting back to the overall theme, and again, it's amazing how things change. Okay, the Cavs, they're not going to be in the championship conversation, nor should they be. But as we alluded to hope for the Indians, there is hope for the NBA because all these teams are going to go through transitions now. All these teams now are really, because the Warriors have some significant injuries, and more than likely they're not going to keep both. From what I'm hearing, they're not keeping KD. And even if they keep Thompson, he's not playing next year. The winds of change have happened in the NBA, and it does make it more appealing going into the 1920 season. Boy, has that changed from our narrative back in April. Huge change. Not little, not medium. Jared, huge change going in the offseason. Huge.
I told Priscilla this morning before I left, when I talked to her this morning, my wife, by the way, if you haven't been listening to the show, you don't realize Priscilla's my wife. I looked at her and I said, I feel like I'm going to be able to watch basketball again this season.
It's really, really big.
Season.
And then this goes to my...
Like, I'm excited, and I don't mean that. I understand that it happened
injuries,
because of...
But, hey, it happens.
I get that, but I really am looking forward to what season...
For the first time,
this plays
there's
out.
Actually some questions about who's going to do what and what's going to happen. Now, there's some...
Yep.
And this goes to my last point. I didn't put this in a rundown. There are some books in Vegas who have the Lakers as the favorite to win the NBA Finals next year. So...
Knew it.
Let's talk about this real quick.
Knew it.
Again, the winds of change. This is a get-out-of-jail-free card for the Lakers, and I don't like saying that because I don't like the Lakers. I do like LeBron, obviously. I love LeBron. What he did was a great...
If that is the case, though, this is probably the last one. This isn't a dynasty in waiting that they're going to build. It'll be one and done. I really feel like that's where that would go.
I don't know about the Davis thing, but if they add Kawhi Leonard, holy cow!
I know
that's a machine.
I'm thinking
that's
Davis.
A machine.
Yes.
So we'll have to wait and see. But boy, amazing how things change. Amazing how things change real quickly. And again, it's amazing. And kudos to the Raptors and good for Toronto. They really earned it. And you know what? Because it's good for sports, I'll say this. It would be nice to see Kawhi stay in Toronto. It's good for sports. It's good for sports. That team is that team's got years to come if they keep him, because looking what Van Fleet did, looking how Lowry came. Lowry's a great example. Lowry really played well as a second and third role on that team.
Oh, I used to not like Van Fleet at all.
Yeah, he played really tough.
Liked him in the series.
So, Gasol, I mean, they have parts and pieces there, but kudos to the Raptors. Jeremy Lin. But that's the Raptors. Kudos to them. And I thought their celebrations were wonderful in Toronto. Very much reminiscent of 16 in Cleveland. The U.S. women's soccer team, they squeaked one out, only 13-0 over Thailand. I was expecting 16. I had the over. I just want to bring this up because of one reason. What's
with
the
temper
fuck up.
tantrum people were
Cup.
throwing over the...
Shut the fuck up. Yeah, come on. Come on.
All those goals count
This is
too,
the top
right? I mean,
level.
that matters.
This isn't high school women's soccer.
You're right. You're right. If anyone should be angry, they should be mad at Thailand for putting that pile of garbage out on the field.
We are fucking here to win.
Right?
We're not fucking around.
Right. Well, I don't think anyone's debating. No.
I just look. I'm just gonna say it. I think it's the men's soccer team. You're not hearing flack. I think it's because the women's team you're hearing flack, and that's bullshit. Pour it on. Not enough. Run it up. Sorry. This is the World Cup. This is the World Cup. This is the biggest show, the biggest dance. Yep. The women's again play on Sunday. I
know it didn't bother me, but I didn't know if I was wrong for not being bothered.
People got to get over this shit. When you're playing at that level, NFL same way. There's no running up at the score in NFL. Okay, if you lose, you get beaten like a drum.
Well, there were times. I mean, think of the Dream Team in the mid-90s,
you know what, Jared?
Where they beat the shit out of teams so badly, and then turn around and they were signing autographs for
Jared Watson
Lithuania.
Just came up with the example that compliments at all. Yes, I won't even steal the thunder. Absolutely, that is the example. The Dream Team, what they did to Angola, is what the U.S. Women's Team did to Thailand, and that should be the same fucking thing.
Yes,
pour it on more. U.S. Open golf's this weekend, Father's Day tradition. I love the U.S. Open. I must admit, partial because I used to work for the network. It's so weird to watch this tournament on Fox. It's not easy to find. It's at Pebble Beach. It's a West Coast start. Rose is up early here in this event. I love the U.S. Open. I get into it. It's so weird.
Yeah, I'll be watching through the weekend. I started tracking a little bit on Thursday. I haven't really kept up. I didn't see today, so I didn't even really realize that Rose was up early. So.
I'll be very fair. I love this tournament, but because I came up through the ESPN ranks, I don't watch Fox as much as I should. And because of that, I actually had one of those moments right before we came. I'm like, oh, fuck, what's going on in the Open? So, but I will be all over this weekend. I love watching U.S. Open. All right, so quick recap. Mike Silver should come on our show. Duke Johnson needs to clarify. I do.
Sure you want that?
You know why? I want to hear him say, I do have a partial bias against Cleveland. Is this very clear he does? Come on,
Mike.
It's okay to admit it.
Come on, Mike.
It's fine.
You know what? And tell me what these specific quotes.
Well, everybody
give me
does
one
that.
Quote from one player. I want to know what was said
does that, though.
To Baker.
I won't get on that, but I'll get on the first one. Duke Johnson thing's not going away now, at least in my opinion. Everybody should back up Baker still. I don't think you should get off that plank if you did. Hopefully hopefully everything for the Browns again cools off before the 4th of July break here, but we'll see. The Indians, we kind of went through it. They had a good week, but they yet are now 11 games back of the Twins. I think the second wild card spot's where it's at. I think we're both in agreement. Time will tell about these trades, but it's leaning towards a yes, but I still want to see how these next 2 weeks play out to see if I still feel that way. I'm not there yet, but I'm getting there. Not there yet.
Andy and Jarid at gmail.com. Shoot us your questions, your comments, your concerns. Andy and Jarid at gmail.com. On Twitter, follow us at CLE and Beyond. That's at CLE and Beyond. On Facebook, facebook.com/Cleveland and Beyond. Facebook.com/Cleveland and Beyond. Again, we are part of Waiting for Next Year. Teamed up with them. Check them out. waitingfornextyear.com. Original, wonderful Cleveland sports content right there for you, the Cleveland sports fan, waiting for next year.
But as we wrap up, this is, I think, a good way to end. What is your dream Father's Day Sunday?
Priscilla and the kids go shopping.
I love
leave me at the house.
Sleeping and walking around in my pajamas all day. I am that guy.
Yeah, do that. I'm kidding. I actually feel guilty for what I just said. Because I basically made a joke that I didn't want to be around the family, and that's really not true.
Yeah.
That's what I get. I instantly regret my joke.
I'll be around my boys,
instantly.
But I do want to sleep past 9. I do want to sleep. I will be leaving out.
Oh, you can guarantee. I look at that as an automatic. It's Sunday.
I'm a single.
It ain't happening. You know what I really want? I know what we're doing. I already know what we're doing. We're gonna go across the Bay Bridge, across Chesapeake Bay, and we're gonna go to this place called Bridges. Ironically enough, a restaurant right there out on the water that I absolutely love. I'm gonna go and get some scallops.
I love scallops,
some lobster, maybe
that's
a
good
little
idea.
fillet.
You know what? I'm going to probably.
Yeah.
You know what? Last year is a good example of my Father's Day. I'm a single dad for those who don't know, and last year I asked my kids. I go, well, what should we do? It's Father's Day. And after a long discussion, it was agreed upon that I should buy him a slip and slide. And that's what we did on Father's Day. And I would not be surprised if the say
That's great.
I'll never
the kids decided that for Father's Day I need to buy them a puppy.
I will never forget. My mom goes, "What did you do?" I'm like, "We bought a slip and slide." What? Yeah, we bought a slip and slide. The kids thought that would be what's great for me. And I am not going down that fucking slip and slide, but boy, are my boys doing that right now. But I did buy a 6-pack of something, and you made sure to sip. I guess I sipped as they slipped and slide. So that's that.
You
slipped
sipped
and slide, but
while they slide.
Happy Father's Day to everybody out there. And I think our next podcast depends on what happens. If there's good stuff, we'll do one. Might be another 7-10 day linger, because this starts to get into the period of time where.
Yeah, we've had a slow run, which is fine because we've been busy.
The reason I bring it up is we're definitely getting to a point where podcasts might go here, there, and there. Don't worry, because quick preview, then I will shut up. I'm going to get stuff ready for college football during the summer. We're going to do some college football previews. We are going to go through some betting lines after the All-Star break to see where things are fun in baseball. Where we'll do some NFL previews. So that way, once it's time for the Browns in late July, we can do that. But those are things that come down the road, and those are things that I am working on. And again, I did mean it. This next podcast, unless something again happens with Duke Johnson, it sounds like, we should do cast draft preview. It's time. Who the Cavs going to draft?
He's Andy Billman. I'm Jared Watson. Andy and Jared, Cleveland and beyond. Happy Father's Day. Everyone be safe. Take care. Talk again soon.